Hey crafty family, it is me, and today we are going to mess around with some Oxide inks. And I had some people in the live stream. I explained the difference between Oxide inks and regular distress inks. The difference is basically pigment, a pigment mixture in the Oxide inks, which is what these are. These are a pigment and dye ink mixture, and these are just dye ink. And dye ink has a tendency to soak in and stain the paper, whereas pigment ink seems to sit on top more, and it doesn't stain the paper as much. It's not as, well, this isn't fully pigment. This is pigment and dye. But dye ink, like, is more transparent, whereas pigment ink is like more opaque. That's a good way to explain it. But what I want to talk about today is how to fake it. And I almost didn't want to do this video because I just want to explain something. In order to fake oxides, okay, you have to have certain things and have these things already in your arsenal, in your craft supplies. Otherwise, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to buy these things to make a faux distress oxide when you could, for the same price, you can buy, or cheaper, you could buy the oxides. So only do this if you already have these things in your craft supplies, which a lot of you probably won't. Some of you might. I don't know. So we're going to fake distress oxides. I'm going to get a specific color. Not that one. Where'd it go? Was it that one? Maybe it was. I don't know. We're gonna kind of like fake a blue color, basically. Cause here, let me show you something real quick. Probably should have done this from the beginning. Can you tell which one of these is the real oxide and which one is the fake oxide? I can't. I actually have to look on the back again because I don't remember which one's which, because that's how close they look to each other. This one's the oxide. This one's the fake. So I'm going to show you how to fake it. It's probably similar chemicals that I'm going to be mixing together, which is why we're going to get this almost exact replica of an oxide ink. Like literally so close that I almost was like, whoa, that's really, really close. But like I said, it's cheaper to buy oxide inks than to think that you're going to go out and buy the stuff to fake it. It doesn't make sense. But if you already have these things, then, you know, okay. So one of the things you're going to need to fake it is it doesn't have to be Versamagic or anything. It just has to be a pigment white ink. You need a pigment white ink. That's the first thing. Then you need a patina, one of those patinas, which are by Ranger. And the reason I say that with some emphasis is whatever's in here is something that is in these. Okay, there is some similar chemical in these patinas that are also in the oxide inks, which is why I got the almost exact replica. But I messed around with several, I mean, look, I've been screwing with this. Last night I was video chatting with Secret, and I was messing with this for a couple of hours. And then today I got up and I messed with it for another couple hours. Like, that's how, and at first last night I was like, well, I'll show like a different thing that's kind of and then when I started messing around with it today and I got further into it, I discovered, okay, this is like an exact match, and I'm able to replicate it enough where I can show somebody how to do it. Whereas last night when I was messing around, I was like, man, I kind of can get it, but I don't know the exact how to do it. Like, I don't know. It was complicated. It was a pain in the ass. I don't know what made me start doing this at all in the first place, but I don't know. Just because I guess I'm one of those people that if there's something that I know a lot of people can't have or don't have the money to spend on something, I am going to try to find an alternative. However, this alternative is not cheaper. It's only cheaper if you already have the crap to do it with. So it's kind of like, meh, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Take it at that. It's interesting if nothing else. So anyway, pigment ink in white, a refill would be preferable. The patina things in whatever color you're trying to make. So depending on the color you want, you're going to want the patina. And then you're also going to want, so this is what I mean, this is where it gets ridiculous. You could probably get away without this, but you're also going to want a pigment ink in a similar color to the patina that you have. So, you know, and then you're going to want a similar color in a dye ink, which at that point you can use one of your distress ink pads and squirt some ink onto your, you could take some of your distress ink pad and go like that in lieu of an actual refill. So you're going to need like 4 things. Isn't this ridiculous? Now you can kind of get away without this one, without the pigment ink in the color that kind of matches the patina. You can kind of get away with that. Kind of, but I think it worked better when I had all these 4 things. This kind of, for some reason, worked perfect. Now, the reason why the white ink is there, it's what, I don't know, it's what gave it the, I don't know, like, I can't explain it. I'll have to do it with and without the white ink. I don't remember if I did that. I probably did, but I don't remember what the result was because I did so many scenarios that I was here for hours and hours and hours. Like literally, this is just some of what I was doing, sometimes back and front. Like these are just some of the papers I was doing. And I will say, like, this is all fake oxide. Now, does that not look like real oxide? That's fake oxide. That's me messing around and making fake oxide inks. And look how nice that came out. So, like I said, that's why it became worth it to me, because I was like, oh, I was actually getting somewhere. So, we'll do that test because I can't remember if I did it because my brain doesn't work anymore. We'll do it with and without the white. But I do want to point out, if you notice something, okay, let's take, let me find it. Alright, let's take these 2 colors here. If you notice something, this is Fired Brick Distress. This is Fired Brick Oxide. Okay? Fired Brick Distress, Fired Brick Oxide. What's the difference between the 2? It looks like somebody added white to this to get this. That's where this all started for me, because I'm like, every one of the oxides looks like all they did was add a chalky white color to it to make it like this pastel-y looking color, because that's what you get when you add white to things. But the oxidation is where that didn't happen. When I took the distress ink and did this, put a couple of drops of the pigment, the white pigment, and then squirted a little water on it and messed around with it. You can do that. You can do that and get a result that will let you layer, which is what I was just going to do in this video. If you just have white pigment ink and some distress ink, you can get a variation that will look like the distress oxide, and it will layer like the distress oxide. Kind of. So it's kind of like a really, really faux oxide. You can do the layering thing a bit with it. So that's an idea. If you just have the distress inks and some white pigment ink, have at it. You can just squirt some ink, put a drop or 2 of the white ink, spray it with water, take a paintbrush and wiggle it around to mix it well, and then start working. You can do that. I did that last night. It works. And that's what I was going to show you today. And that was the only thing I was going to show you until I dive deeper into this. In fact, I can show you, now that I showed you that this is the Distress Oxides, I can show you how I can get the red to go over top of this without, because if it was just Distress ink, keep in mind, which I should show you the difference between just Distress ink. Here, we'll do just Distress ink. It's kind of gonna show up weird. You see what I mean? Like it turns, bleh. It just turns bleh. Like it doesn't really show up. It just becomes this, looks like dried blood. Whereas, in order to do this properly, I gotta wipe that up. Whereas if I do it like this, and I might need more, I don't know. I was taking a brush, which my water's dirty again. I think I need more of the fired brick. There we go. See, you can get like a, see how it sits on top? Okay, so you can get a faux, because it sits on top, it doesn't do this. See the difference? So that's why, I mean, you can fake it this way. This can be a way to layer, and then you dry your layers, you can add more with different colors. So you can do that. You can make a faux oxide. But I'm going to show you this other way, which if you have the right ingredients, you can make like an almost real faux oxide. Like so close to the real thing, it's crazy. And I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so like I said, now this blue does not match these blues, so it changes the color a little bit, but I think it ended up like either Broken China or Faded Jeans. I can't remember which one of the Oxide blues. One of them, I'm hoping you're able to see me because I have you kind of zoomed in so you can really see, but let me check the camera real quick. I hope you were able to see what I'm doing. I really hope so. So, okay. So we got our 4 ingredients. We've got our white pigment. We've got our colored pigment to match whatever color of the patina, which is made by Ranger. It was meant to be like a metal, and it has some alcohol in it or something alcohol-y like smelling, because it's, I know it's got, it says right on it, it's got shake vigorously. Where is it? It says it. Oh, it contains ethylene glycol and monobutyl ether. So whatever they are, I don't know if that's alcohol, but it kind of has an alcohol smell. So a little bit. Whereas the oxides don't. But, well, they have a smell, but not like the patina stuff. So there's something in here, one of or the other of these chemicals, whether it's the ethylene glycol or the monobutyl ether or whatever, one of them, the one that probably smells the least, is the one that might be in here that helps cause that oxidation, because it kind of works, you know. So I'm going to do it the way I've been doing it and show you. And then we'll do another experiment. So let me get a piece of paper. I'll do it on the back of that. I'll do everything the way I was doing it. So, and I'll literally show you. Where's the re-inkers? What did I do with them? Oh, here it was. It was the Broken China. Okay. I'll show you when I squirt out. I'll squirt out some Broken China Oxide to show you that they look, the two liquids look similar when I get it all done. Like, it's crazy. Okay. So first I'm going to take some, that's this thing. The dried bits are like going all over the place. Okay. Alright, so that's the patina in whatever color this is. I don't even know. And then I'm going to take this very similar color in the pigment inks and give it a little squirt. I mean, don't ask me any kind of what's the measurements, what's the rest, like, don't. It's just give it a little squirt. Just mess around. And then I'm putting some blue dye ink. This is my dye ink. I could use the distressed dye ink, but it's kind of a pain. It's easier to just squirt it. Alright, so I'm just going to mix this around and see if it's the right color. Yeah, it looks about right. Okay. Just for comparison purposes. Obviously the color is not exact. But if I were to... This is a little bit more liquidy. Okay. Than this. This is a little bit... I think I had added water to this. That was the other thing. I had added some water before adding like water to actually make it, you know, spread it like you would. I added more water to it. Trying to get it this similar. And it might need a little bit more of this. You have to play around with it. Whoops, I might have added too much, but that's okay. I can add other things. Because look what happens when you add the dye and that patina stuff. It gives this cool effect, which is where I think the whole Oxide comes from. Because when you look at the Oxides, I don't know if it's showing up, but it looks like it's got several colors in it, where so does this kind of, which I just kind of need to add more of this now because I've been messing around. Added too much of the dye ink. I'm just going back and forth with the ingredients until I get it looking just like whatever. Just cool looking. I don't know. I couldn't tell you a measurement. Like, don't ask me for a recipe because I don't know. Just play around. If you have these things in your arsenal, then play around. Okay. That looks good to me. Good enough. Now that's actual Oxide. I'm going to spray it. So that I don't wet the other one. I'm going to spray it on this whatever piece. Actually, let's do a comparison, like an actual comparison. I'll do the Oxides on the Oxide on this side, like I did before. That's the Oxide. Let me get another piece of paper. Come on. Okay. Now, I'm just going to put it, I'm just working with the Oxides right now. I'm just picking up what I can so I don't waste it. And then I will wipe up the rest. And now all we're left with here is my faux Oxide. Okay, this is the Oxide. This is what I just picked up from that side. Now I'm going to take this one. I'm going to spread this a little bit so it's not a big blob. Okay. I probably didn't... Oh, crap, I should have added water. Whoops. I was supposed to add more water. That's very, very concentrated. Let me try again. Add water so it doesn't look so concentrated. There we go. That's better. And now I'll take like this because I've been layering different things as I go along. I'm just adding 2 other things that I have lying around. Let's see, I'll add to this other experiment so I don't waste it. I can, you know, what do you call it? Punch out shapes from it or something. I haven't been wasting anything. I've been doing the backs and fronts of some, and I don't waste anything. I made too much of that. That was a lot. But that was my whole recipe on that one. And I'll show you the difference between the two. The first time I picked it up, I did that real concentrated, thick, which is, forgot to spray it with water. Here's the one I sprayed with water. This is the faux. This is the fake. This is the real deal. This is the fake. Real, fake. Real, fake. Of course, they're not the same exact color. It's impossible to get the same exact color. I'm not going for the same exact color. That's not my purpose here. It's not to go, oh, I can make the same colors. No. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm talking about the effect of what the colors do. Like the oxidation effects, the layering effects, the whole 9 yards. Now, of course, you can't tell nothing about layering. We'll do another one showing you how I layer them. But obviously there's, you know, you're not going to be able to see too much right now. I'm going to dry these. Okay. So with a pencil, I'm going to put, these are oxides with an O. And I'm going to put an F on this one for fake. Okay, so this is the real deal. Now I'm going to take some water and I'm going to spritz both of these a little bit. And you'll see that you get a similar to almost exactly the same type of reaction between them. And then we'll make it without the color and just the white and the patina and the, like when I use this re-inker, I'm using it as if I'm taking a distress ink and going like that. So I'm using this bottle in lieu of doing that, but you can absolutely do that. You see, like, I probably have bigger water droplets on here, but let's do this. Speed it up so you can see. Yeah, I have bigger water droplets on this one, but you see what I mean? You've got the same watered effect. The very same effect is on there. You know, I wasn't getting when I did it the other ways that I was doing it. This was the only time I actually got this similar effect. Okay, let me wipe off my thing. And the way it's sitting on top and not dyeing the paper, it's actually sitting on top of, and I can layer on. You know what? I'm not going to worry about doing it without this one, because obviously you can do that if you don't have it and try it and see if you get the same thing. And just by, not that, why do I keep grabbing that? By using a dye ink, a white pigment ink, and then some of that patina stuff, you can test that. I don't need to test that. I want to layer something on top of this. Because if I just, like, here's one, let's see, where's that other one I did? See, if I just layer something on top of this, like this for instance, we'll use this to layer on top of. Let me dry it. This will be the one we layer like the regular distress ink over top of. And then I'm going to do fired brick because I can, well wait, which one can I replicate? Okay. And I have a yellow and the distress oxides to kind of, it's not going to be the same. Do I have a yellow? Yeah, the mustard seed. I'm not looking to make the same color, so keep that in mind. We're not after the same color. We're after the same effect. We're just doing similar colors. So, okay, I do have a patina. Do I have a regular distress ink or a re-inkered? I'll do it with the distress ink if I have it, which I do. Okay. Okay, yeah. I have mustard seed and fossilized amber. That's the one I have. And then I have antique linen. Is that a yellow color? I think it is. Let me put it on the back of here. Well, no, it's not really very yellow. Okay. So we'll use this in comparison to this, which are totally different colors of yellow, but whatever. In fact, I'm going to attempt to, because this has kind of like an orange tinge to it, so I'm going to use this, which is ochre, and this, instead of the lighter yellow, we're going to use that one, and the white. And then for our dye ink, I'm going to use this. Like instead of using a bottle, because I don't have a bottle for the yellow dye ink. So like you would use your distress inks at home. And then the oxide, we're going to layer over the oxide. So that's basically what we're going to do. We'll start with that. We'll layer the fossilized amber, which hopefully will show up over the blue, because sometimes they don't show up very well. Because the lighter colors don't show up as well. But we'll see. Yeah, it's showing up okay. Okay. Good enough. It's going to turn a little green. Okay. Good enough. All we need is an example. I'll actually add some of this on here. Okay. So that's the fossilized amber oxide, and it sits pretty much on top of the thing. It's yellow, so it's kind of an iffy color to sit on top of anything, even for the oxides. I explained that when I first used the oxides in the first video, that if you're using like a really light color on top of a darker color, you're not going to get as well of layering. But let's see how we do. Now, if you were to just take the mustard seed distress ink, not the oxide, and take it and layer it over top of the oxide, it's just going to turn into a green mess. Okay, that's what you're going to get. Like, you're not going to see both colors. You're really just going to get a green mess. Okay, so that's just to show you that the difference, that the oxides sit on top of each other, which lets them each show individually, and sometimes a little bit of a pairing of the two. Like, we've got a little green going on, but you could see that the yellow is there clearly. Whereas here, the only time you could see even a remote bit of yellow is where there's nothing, and even that's contaminated. It's very, very green, or it disappears altogether if you do it over, you know, distress ink over distress ink or distress ink over oxide. Either way, it doesn't give you the same effect. So anyway, this is the oxide. So now let's do our little test. Let's do our fake oxide, which sometimes I gotta stick a pin in these to get them to, there we go. Need a pin. They get clogged. Well, that should be enough. Now, what I'll do is dry my brush off, try to get this into here and get this I'm just going to tap some of this. It's like very, very concentrated. So here's the fake. Yeah, it took over. I probably didn't, what do you call it, water it down enough. My bad. But you see how quickly, like, it layers on top. I'm going to do it on top of this one because now I've got some spotting where I could do it, kind of. I'll do it on top of this one, even though it's, you know, whatever, you get the point. It acts the same. Unfortunately, I just stuck it into a bigger puddle than I wanted to. But anyway, you see the point that it layers. You know what I mean? It layers. I've been layering color. Some of this is screw up, actually. This sheet specifically has been like massive layering on top of layering of different things. But you see how you can get the layering. Now, clean this up. Which you can get the layering, but you get the oxidation. So this is the real oxide of the yellow and the blue with the fake oxide yellow over top, and this is the fake and the fake and the fake. That's all fake. That's all right. For this experiment, it's fine. You get the point. Let me dry these. Alright, now I'm going to do some water droplets. Trying to get it. Well, some of them might be too big. I don't have the best water thing. Let it sit for a second and then we can like tap some of it up with a dry cloth to get that cool effect. I didn't leave it sit long enough, but I'll have to dry it. Actually, the fake one spotted up better than the real one. You see the spots on this one? And the same amount of time I left it on the real. The yellow's not real, but the blue is. But I'm going to add some more water, but this time I'm going to use this. And leave it sit for longer. We're going to leave it sit a little longer this time. You can even dry it or something. But you get the same effect. Do you see the effect that you get? It's the same. It's like so close to the same, if not the same. Where's the blue one that I did initially? What did I do with it? Not the blue one. The one that I showed you in the beginning. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Is this it? I'm losing my papers. Oh, I layered over top of it. Well, here's another one right here. Like, it's so similar to the way it acts. Like, where's my tags? Ouch, it's hot. You see how you could see each color? This is the real oxides I used on here. Like, you could see each color just like you can on here, just like you can on here, until I accidentally put too much yellow on it, but you could still see everything over top of it. And actually, I'll do one more. let's do another one that we can layer over top of this. Let's do the purple. I think I have a purple patina. Let me see. I do. So we'll do a purple. These are two different purples. Do I have a different one that's closer? Probably not. No. That's okay. Wait a minute. I might have a different purple in the Versa Magic. Yeah, that's a different, that's a more similar. Okay. Alright. Shaking these is very important. We're going to put purple over top of this, which in any other case would not work with the yellow that's kind of turning a little greenish in spots, and then the blue. Purple and yellow don't go well together, but we're going to put them on top of each other because, now keep in mind, the yellow here is the fake. The blue is the oxide. I'll even put it over top of this one. We got this, we got this. Oh yeah, we need the purple. Do I have a purple distress? That might be the only thing that screws me up. Uh-oh. I might have another dye ink that's purple. Let me look. This is dye ink. Stamping up. As long as it's dye ink, it doesn't matter which dye ink you use. Okay, so this time, the easiest way to do it, I kind of did it backwards last time. When you're using an ink pad, you want to put your ink pad ink down first. I'm trying to get as much as I can because I know this one ain't as juicy. And then you want to sprinkle your patina in the middle of it, which I may need to, nope. Sprinkle your patina in the middle. Sprinkle all your, or drip all your inks in the middle. I may have to adjust this a little bit, but okay. Alright, let's see what happens when we get all these suckers. So you want a good amount of dye ink in there because you have an awful lot of pigment, because you've got the pigment in this, the pigment in the white, and then there's pigment in here for sure. So there we go. That looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna tap this on here and just see. See, that's really, really concentrated, which is why it's so opaque. It's not supposed to be that opaque. So now what we're gonna do is, alright, now we're going to carefully do this because it's going to want to, again, cover everything, and we don't want to cover the whole thing. Let me get some of my other ones and I'll kind of mop it up a little bit to kind of make it so it's a little less and then we'll do this one. Now it's a little less. There we go. We got our oxide on top of our faux oxide on top of our real oxides to show that you can layer them. Here's another one. Just layering them up, showing that they do act similarly.
This is distressed oxides, and I'm putting all kinds of things on top of them. I'll put it here. Yeah, that's a good consistency when I sprayed it again. Like, it's really similar, crazy similar. Covering it, everything. Just going around covering everything. Now I can't say for sure that what I'm making is an exact replica of Oxides. Can't, obviously, because I'm not a chemist and I don't know. I would love to be a chemist because I feel like I'd be good at that job. But, because I like doing stuff like that where you're figuring stuff out. But anyway, here's the two we are concentrating on. I mean, if that doesn't layer like Oxides, I don't know what does. Like, that is so stinking similar. Let me dry them. I mean, it's not exact, probably. I don't know. It looks pretty damn close to me, but then again, I don't want to say it's exact because somebody else might not think so. And I don't want anybody to get mad at me for claiming anything. But in my opinion, I can't really tell a difference. That's just my opinion. Like, I showed Secret too, and she was like, she couldn't tell the difference. I held up the Oxide that I made and the Oxide that was, you know, when I did the blues. I showed them to her on camera. I said, do you know which one is the fake one and which one's the real one? And she goes, I don't know which one. She could not tell which one was fake and which one was real. Like, that's how uncanny they were to each other. They were so stinking similar. So I just find it fascinating. This is probably boring as hell, and some people are probably like, why do you waste your time? I don't know. I find it fascinating. I probably should have left that on longer. And I will do it again. I'm too impatient for letting water droplets sit on a piece of paper. To me, this is fascinating because I don't know, it just, there's no purpose behind it. It's just fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me that I figured out how to make fake Oxides, even though it's not cheaper to make the fake Oxides than it is to just buy them, unless you just happen to have patinas, and doesn't matter what brand except for these have to be the patinas, the Ranger patinas, the patina ink things. Otherwise, you know, it can be whatever Versamagic or whatever pigment inks you have in one color that's similar and white, and then a dye ink that's similar-ish. I mean, you can mix your own colors. I mean, you can, as long as they're in, you know how to work the color wheel, you can use different colors as long as you got the white. If you wanted to do a pink and a purple and a purple, or a pink and a purple and a pink, or a pink and a purple and a bluish color that all will mix together, you know, to form its own color, that's fine. Do whatever you want as long as you have the white ink. You know what I mean? Like, they don't all have to be the same color. Huh. Let me heat this. See, the only thing on this paper that is real Oxide is the blue layer on the bottom. The yellow and the purple are the fakes. And if I didn't tell you that, you would think that that was all Oxide ink. You would never know the difference, I guarantee it. I wouldn't, and I'm sitting right here. Like, I keep having to look and see the O on this to know that the bottom layer is the Oxide
And I can't tell the difference. Like, I have a purple in the oxides, right? Like, I know this video is long and repetitive and whatever. I don't care. I'm having fun. I find this fascinating. Leave me alone. If you don't like it, you don't have to. Okay, so I'm going to take a purple and go over this blue, which has a little bit of that red dye ink on there, so I'm not sure how that... Wait a minute, do I have a blue? No. Here, I'll go over this blue and green, because that'll show up better. Because this has got blue and greenish and yellow or whatever, so that's fine. Ugh, I can't get these open. Okay, so we'll do that. And it's not going to be the same color, obviously. It's going to be a little bit of a different color. Oh, I got stuff on the back of there, too. Didn't even see it. But just to give you an idea, let's go over this with Oxide. Which one should we go over? Let's do the... Yeah, screw it. We'll go over this one, even though this one was all fake. Now we're going to add some real, which... Ugh, those two purples didn't go well together, but that's okay. Because now you can't see which one's which. You could see it better on this one where there was no purple. Okay. This has the purple oxide. This does not. But this has the purple fake. And so does this one. You know what I mean? Like I just screwed... I know I realized I just screwed all that up. But I'm going to do some more water droplets on all of them. And let it sit. So something... I mean, they're obviously the patinas. The patinas are made by Ranger. So obviously something in the patina is a similar chemical to what's in the oxides, which in combination with the pigment and the dye ink is giving me the very, 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 very similar effect of the Distress Oxides. And that's really all this whole video is about. That's it. But also, if you don't have the patinas and you want to do a layering effect, kind of like the oxides, but you don't get the same oxidation, and you just want to be able to do the cool kind of layering thing, just use any pigment ink that you have. So even if you have a pigment ink pad and one of your distress pads, like I have some pigment ink here, like these Versa Magic, which obviously I have some of them in reinkers, but like if you just have like some Versa Magic, which is a pigment ink, and you like wiped it down and then took your purple distress ink or purple distress reinker or any kind of dye based ink, you know, even if it's Stampin' Up, you know, your purple Stampin' Up, it doesn't have to be the exact same color. Do one next to each other and mix them together with a little water. I got the hiccups now, Christ. Anyway, you will get an ink that you can layer, or you can just use, you know, reinkers period or whatever, you know what I mean, you get what I'm talking about, and add the white in. You do need the white. The white gives it something. You could just use the white. Didn't I say that? Is that what I was talking about? I don't remember what I said in the beginning. Like, I'm so confused because I've been doing so many different things that I'm like completely confused now. If you just did the white and the distress inks, you can get a layering effect. That's what it was, the white. So you can put some distress ink down and then drip some white in, wiggle it around with a paintbrush and spray it with some water, and you can layer colors that way. Dry it in between, of course, and then you can layer it. Because, like, I can layer... Like, let's layer over top of this one. Like, I'll do a pink. Like, this is a distress ink. This is not an oxide. I'm going to do a faux. A really faux. It's not going to be the same. Oh, my water is so gross. It gets gross so fast.
gonna be really pale pink. I should probably add a little more pink. Just be careful not to get it in the thing. And do like, see what I mean? You get the layering. It's not as reactive. I'll even do it over this one. It's not as reactive like if you add the patina stuff in, it doesn't give you the same reactions, but it gives you the same layering effect. Like you can layer colors over top of colors over top of colors, kind of like you do, you know, like you could do with the oxides. I just think the patinas, the patina gives it something. I don't know what's in it that gives it, but it gives it something different. But like I said, you can use just a white pigment ink and your distress inks and layer the crap out of them, just dry them in between and all that good stuff. So that's the easiest way to do it. But obviously, if you have to go out and buy something, I mean, if you already have a ton of regular distress inks and you want to get like the oxide, you want to play around with like kind of an oxide effect, just get yourself a white pigment ink re-inker, and that'll be cheaper than buying the oxides. You could do that. But if you are going to go through the trouble of getting all the colors of patinas and all that, and all the colors of the re-inkers of the pigments and all this to make it the way I did in the most complicated sense, don't bother. Just get the oxides. You'll be much more satisfied and it'll be a hell of a lot cheaper. But if you already have these things laying around, then play. Get them out and play with them, because you do get some really cool effects. Because most all of this is not oxides. These are all the things that I used to make faux oxides. Some of it's a fail. Some of it's, you know, this is all through my process. But you get some really cool stuff out of this. I mean, I am definitely not disappointed in any of these papers in the least, because I got some cool things out of them. This is the first one where I started to really see the oxiding, and I was like, oh, this is like all fake. But it was here that I started to really see the oxide effects with my faux, you know, with my faux look. But yeah, so you can definitely fake it. You just got to make sure you have the right stuff to do that with. Anyway, this was really long, and I'm sure you guys are like, what the hell? And I'm sorry, but it was fascinating to me, and that's all that matters. That's why I put my videos up. I don't put them up for anybody else. So don't yell at me and don't comment, this video was long and ridiculous. You could have summed this up in 2 minutes. To that I say, leave me alone. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun. I hope the ones who are as nerdy as me about things like this enjoyed my little, I'm gonna figure this out, type of thing, which is what this was, and messed around. And I hope you guys will mess around too, because some of you might have all this stuff. You might have all the patinas and you never use them, because I know I barely ever use them. I like to use them sometimes when I'm doing certain things, but you know, really, some of us might have all these patinas and we don't use them. And we might have some pigment inks and some this and some that. Get them out and mess around, because you'll find some really cool things happening when you use them. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Even if you didn't enjoy it that much, if you made it this far, give me a thumbs up. A for effort. You know? And also share this video on your social media. And if you're subscribed, thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, or if you're planning to subscribe, also hit the bell icon, which is right next to the subscribe button, which will give you notifications of when I go live, which is twice a week, on Friday nights at 10 p.m. for the pajama party, and on Monday nights at 9:30 for the mixed media mashup. So yeah, don't miss those. And
Also, we have a Facebook group. That'll be in the description as well. You can join our Facebook group to see all kinds of art and share your art, and everybody's welcome. And yeah, it's a good place. It's a lot of fun. We just reached over 500 subscribers, or 500 members, I mean. So yeah, awesome. And I'm getting a phone call, so I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.